In today's political discourse, you're either one of three things. You're either on the left, a Nazi, or a neocon. Actually, wait, that's kind of wrong. You're either woke or you're just a neocon. While I'm not a neoconservative, I do agree with many of their talking points pertaining to foreign policy and trade. However, if I made an argument like, the US's involvement in Israel's security is essential, or I really dislike Russia's horrible human rights record, you would instantly be casted as a dreaded neocon. The fact is, people making these arguments aren't necessarily neocons. For argument's sake, take Sam Harris, for example.
But Iraq looks like a disaster, and it's looked like a disaster for most of the time, apart from 15 minutes there after the surge. And I certainly don't consider myself a neocon. I just think we have to be honest about, in ethical terms, what is really going on in the world. If you're going to say that we never should have gone into Iraq, which I think is a reasonable thing to say, and it was a reasonable thing to say then, it was only decent to admit how depressing a claim this really is. I mean, so we're saying that Iraq is a place that requires a psychopathic thug to run it. I mean, given the level of religious sectarianism, given the fact that when you remove a butcher like Saddam Hussein, everyone starts killing their neighbor, right? Which is in fact what happened, and which is in fact the political and religious reality we underestimated when we walked in there thinking that they were just going to put flowers in the barrels of our guns and welcome us as liberators.
In this clip, Harris is fairly critical of the Iraq War as he refers to the situation that is out of the U.S.'s control. However, he does admit the reality of the situation within Iraq at the time, where Saddam Hussein was responsible for terrorizing nations, including his own. Does this admittance render him a neocon? I would certainly hope not. If that's the case, what is a neoconservative? A neoconservative is someone who holds a slew of conservative beliefs, with the special interest of promoting free market capitalism via internationalism and interventionist foreign policy. This is comparing to paleoconservatives who advocate for a sense of American nationalism via the use of non-interventionist foreign policy and protectionism. Neocons generally agree with conservatives in regards to large amounts of spending in the military. However, they do not shy away from intervening in conflicts that aren't directly affecting their country of origin. For example, neoconservatives see Israel as not only a shining city on the hill, but they also see defending Israel as a stronghold against many types of regimes in the Middle East. They see the U.S.'s relationship with Israel as one that is necessary because without it, Western countries could not have any influence in the outcomes in that part of the world. Another defining characteristic of neoconservatism is creating a global culture that follows the principles that lead way to free market capitalism. Of course, when Americans hear the term free market capitalism, they think of equality of opportunity combined with the marketization of various industries within the economy. However, neocons realize to enable this reality, it cannot be accomplished without an unwavering commitment to free trade and a healthy influx of immigrants. If there was a breaking point between normie conservatives and neocons, you would probably find this to be the largest disagreement, as many conservatives are fairly hawkish on immigration. In the age of Trump, quite a few conservatives remain against the narrative that free trade helps all participants, and participation is necessary for a healthy economy. Neocons' opinions on immigration, free trade, and foreign policy are usually opinions which get them into trouble with their own side. They will also ironically see many insults like cuck, snowflake, and globalist Soros shill flung their way. On the flip side, if someone defends U.S. intervention in the world on certain occasions, this does not automatically denote this person as a neocon. Believe it or not, the idea that the U.S. should intervene in foreign affairs, either diplomatic or militaristic, is a widely held opinion amongst the American population. According to a recent Gallup poll, 50% of people who responded supported Trump's missile strikes against Syria in both 2017 and 2018. Out of those 50% of people, I would bet a fairly small portion of those people are actually neocons. The rest of those people are not neocons. So when someone like Sam Harris talks about the horrible situation in Iraq, or someone else mentions how the Russian government imprisons journalists, this by itself lends no evidence to if that person is an actual neocon. This is why Kyle Kulinski can never understand who the neocons are, because any time anyone has the slightest criticism about a regime, he throws the word neocon at that person to designate them. Think I'm joking? Type Kyle Kulinski neocon in the YouTube search bar right now. Look at the results, and you'll see him claiming people like John Kerry and even Obama as neocons, people who are ideologically opposed to neoconservatism on principle. Seriously, Kyle, get a grip. Alright, got my bashing of Kyle Kulinski out of the way. On to the next paragraph. As for where I stand, I would say that my opinions remain a lot more moderate compared to many neocons. However, I still agree with neocons in the case of intervention on principle, but will opt to stay out of military interventions where there is no vested interest for the U.S. or her allies. My opinions on immigration also veer to the right of many neocons. Let me be clear that healthy immigration is important to the growth of the U.S. in certain areas, be it agriculture or tech. Regardless, the U.S. should have a general policy of remaining hawkish at both our neighboring borders and abroad. Many neoconservatives remain unconvinced of a hawkish narrative at the border. Lindsey Graham, a U.S. senator who is seen as a defender of neoconservatism, has sponsored many immigration reform bills, in addition to bills allowing more immigrants asylum from dictatorial regimes. The defining barrier between where I lean and where neoconservatives generally lean is that I believe our involvement in many countries around the world is necessary for our survival and the survival of our allies. Neoconservatives believe that it is within their humanitarian duty to intervene in other countries around the world, especially countries who host dictatorial regimes. So that's why I say I'm a neocon, in quotes for now. Maybe in 20 years from now, I might want American regime change everywhere in the world, and make every country like Kosovo. But for now, I'm John Smith, and I hope to see all of you in my basement in the next video.
She rides alone, a lonely nation on a beast disguised in chrome. Street lights, neon lights, and from her fingertips, gotta grip the world at risk.